So it turns out that there are two exploits that got interfered with for sure in the Cyberpunk 1.1 patch that came out just a little bit ago, January 22nd, I think it was, 2021. So the number one thing that everybody's talking about that has been found out is you cannot re-roll clothing anymore. So when you see clothing like this, if it does not have the number of mod slots that you want, and like an inner torso should be able to have 4 mod slots max. Used to be you could save your game and load your game, and it would re-roll the clothing every single time until you got exactly what you wanted. Well, that is not the case anymore. So now you save and reload, it's exactly the same after the reload. So I did some testing, thinking surely there's a point in time where it does first load in, and it's looking like that first time is at the creation of your game, or at the first time that you load up a save file that was previously in 1.06, something along those lines, because I tried, so I had never even gone to this area on the save file. Never even entered this area even once. So I went here I saved, and then drove here for the first time ever. I'd never even been to this part of the map on the save file. And it was exactly the same as when I came back later. So then I'd load my game, drive here for the first time again, it was the same. I tried exiting the whole game, loading in, and then coming here for the first time ever on a save file, it was exactly the same. So that leads me to believe that it is at the generation of your game. There's probably some number you're given or something on your save file, and no matter how many times you split off that save file onto a different save file, it's probably going to draw it from the same number or something like that, so it'll probably be the same now. So that is what that looks like. There's really no way to do it. So now crafting has value, because now crafting is the only way to guarantee the max number of mod slots on things. So if you want max mod slots, you're probably going to have to get crafting now, or get really, 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 really lucky on the seed for your save file or something like that. So that is the first thing that I want to mention, and that's unfortunate. I don't know of any way to force it to reroll anymore. I did, like I said, I tested a bunch of things, didn't work. So the other thing I want to talk about is an exploit that doesn't work as well as it used to. So I'm not really sure exactly what happened, but the glitching through walls with vehicles, specifically Caliburn, but you can do it with a lot of vehicles, it still works. Like this wall, for example, I was able to get it to work, so I can probably get it to work again right here. So I'm talking about this. Let me just show you the exploit in case you don't know. I'm talking about this exploit where you go through walls. So it does not work as well as it used to for my testing now. There have been multiple doors and walls that I had gone through in the past that I went to now, and it was either I literally could not get through some of them no matter how many times I tried. Specifically, I'm thinking of Arasaka Tower, and I tried getting out of the car like 20 different times, 20 different angles, could not get through the door when normally the door was as easy as this wall. And then there were other walls that normally I could get through that I either couldn't get through, or I had to do it almost perfect to get through. So I'm not really sure what changed, but getting through walls can be more difficult now, or at least in my experience. Maybe some kind of placebo effect. I'm not 100% sure, but I sure as hell couldn't get into Arasaka Tower the normal way. I tried a bunch of times, so maybe it was just bad luck. I don't know. It was weird. So I'm pretty darn sure that something about them doing the RAM optimizations and things somehow made it slightly harder to get through walls. Again, it's going to warrant some more testing, further testing, because it's kind of one of those open-ended questions because there's so many walls you can try to get through. But that's something to also keep in mind, that if there was some wall to get through something that you had, and you really liked doing someplace, but the wall was really hard to get through, it may not be possible now. At least not on my game for some reason. So I'm not sure if that, I'm not 100% sure on that one. But on my game, there were some walls I straight up could not get through that I normally got through. So that's something to think about. That glitch is not as big of a deal as the first one. The first one's the one that everyone's talking about that's going to, affect everybody. So that's pretty much that. I still have not been able to double check the Quickhacking breach protocol exploits, but those also seemed a little fishy now. So I'm not sure about that. The breach protocol one was actually probably fine, but the Quickhacking one seemed like not quite right, so something changed there. It's still possible some way or another, but did not seem quite right. So that's all for this update, letting you guys know what's going on with exploits in 1.1. Pretty much everything works still, except for just a few things like what I just talked about. And if you know of any other exploits that suddenly aren't working, feel free to comment and try to, let me know about them. I can check them out. But all the basic ones, like I went over in the other video, they still work. I'll link that video in the top of the description actually, where I go over the patch notes and then I go over every single exploit. Not every single exploit, but a ton of exploits and test them all and show which ones work and which ones don't. And for the most part, they all still work. But you can go check that to, you know, confirm that exploits still work or not for you. Yeah, there you go. Now you know the situation with the clothing reroll exploit in Cyberpunk 2077. If this video helped you, consider helping us by subscribing to our channel. Tap this button over here and hit the red subscribe button. Subscriptions help a lot, even if you never watch our videos again. Ha 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 ha!